Let's see if we can get this plunger in here pretty quickly. I'm going to hide the glass carafe for the moment and open up our little plunger subassembly. And let's look at the plunger bottom plate. That's going to be the simplest of all of these. And I'll just make sure in the surface bodies I want to show, well, this one. This little circle down here. And all I'm going to do is go to Features, Thicken, click on the surface, and I want to thicken it by maybe 3/4 of a millimeter. So it's pretty thin. And now I'm going to go to the top plane. Well, actually, let's go ahead and sketch on the, let's see, plunger bottom plane. There we go. I'm going to draw a circle. And I'm eyeballing this, by the way, because I know what it looks like, and what it looks like is good enough for this part. This part doesn't have to be mechanically, accurate or anything like that. So I'm going to make a vertical line off to the side, make a horizontal line as well. Then I can use this tool right here, Trim Entities. If I click on that, then I can just click on parts of the sketch to delete them. So we have a little hole that we can use to cut out in our geometry. I'm going to go ahead and also add a 1/4 inch or 6-ish millimeter round on these corners. It looks like that's probably too big. Maybe we'll do 4 millimeters. That looks a little better. And click OK. So now I have my sketch, and I can go ahead and go to Features, Extruded Cut, use that as my cut. I'll use this button over here next to Blind to flip the direction, and I'll just say Through All, so that it'll just go through all of our geometry, but no further. And finally, let's go up here to where it says Linear Pattern. I can drop down, and there's actually a circular pattern as well. And for the center of our circular pattern, I'm just going to choose this outer surface, because since it's a perfect cylinder, SolidWorks knows to use the axis, the center axis of that cylinder, as our the center of our rotation. I'm going to choose under Features to pattern this time. Instead of bodies, I am going to pattern features, and I'm just going to choose this Cut Extrude. As you can see, it's duplicated it 4 times, which is the correct number. We just have to set up the angle to 90 degrees, so we'll get 4 of them all the way around. And there we go. That should take care of our bottom plate. I will go ahead and also add 1/4 millimeter radii on both faces. Again, because once we go to render, that will actually look a lot nicer. Close this up, and we have the bottom plate of our plunger. Now I just got to move on to the next one. So let's go ahead and do the plunger screen next. This one, actually, why don't we edit this one in context so we can see what we're doing a little better. So instead of opening the plunger screen, I'm just going to click, instead of open, right to the right of it, there's this one with the little blue rectangle on it. It says Edit Part. Click OK. And that will edit our part in context. So we can actually just work with it right here. And so on the right plane for that part, I can sketch. Now when you're working in context, you have to be very careful. You do not want to do things like constrain a sketch to an external part. Do not do it. It will be tempting, but do not constrain anything to anything else within the context of an assembly. You will be sorry that you did it. You'd be much better off constraining only within your current part. So we'll grab our plunger bottom plane and make this, what do we say, maybe 0.75 millimeters. In fact, just to make it not touching, I'm going to make it 0.8 millimeters. Yeah. And this outside edge is kind of unimportant where that is. Just make sure that this is small enough. Let's say 1 point, I don't know, 7? Oh. 1.7 inches. And let's go ahead and show our glass carafe actually now, so we can see where its edges are. And I can click on the glass carafe and tell it to change transparency, so it'll be kind of ghosted. Makes it a little easier to see what we're doing. So I can bring that up to maybe 45 millimeters, something like that. Perfect. And we'll just add a fillet to this corner. Hide the glass carafe again. And now we can just use a revolved surface to create what's going to be our screen. And we'll just go ahead and go 360 with it. Now the screen, I actually don't want it to be dimensional. I'm just going to leave it as a surface body. Because in Modo that'll be easier to work with when we're rendering. And click, so we're in the context of this assembly right now, and the way you can tell that is A, the history bar is right here in the middle of our assembly, which is kind of weird. B, you can see the little stoplight on this plunger screen, which is telling us that we are currently, the stoplight is on the top level, telling us we're editing that. It's also on the plunger, telling us we're editing that, and then it's on this plunger screen because we're editing that. So if I click on this button here, that will bring us back into our main assembly. And I can click on this guy. There we go. So let's just go ahead and save all. We have one more part that we need to add at the bottom of this plunger, which is the plunger top plate. And actually we're going to add that in a separate video. So let's go ahead and do that.